In this video I'm going to demonstrate the use of the scythe cutting tree saplings. Cutting tree saplings is an extreme use of the scythe because we are going to cut wider stems and we need a higher force to do it. There are three major issues of preconditions that we are going to change from the grass cutting actually, and that is the tool in itself, the cutting, and also the swinging. So I'm going to walk through these three issues in this video. First, the tool. The blade in itself should be very short, the shortest you can find, and that is usually around 40 centimeters. Mine is 30 centimeters and with a 24 centimeters edge. Then again, the blade must have a good edge. I describe the good edge in my book, so you can look it up. It cannot be the very thin peening edge as tradition uses it. That would be to damage the blade. Actually, it's not good for grasses either, but it's even worse here. And as usual, the blade should be sharp. A dull blade makes more resistance because it doesn't sink into the wood as well, and that may damage the blade in itself. A high force stroke and with a dull blade may destroy the blade. And the blade itself, it must be very well seated to the snout, and usually it isn't, because traditionally a clamp is used around the tang here, and that's not a very good secure connection. I use the 2-bolt system, and it's the only one I recommend for anything, but especially for this use. That's a tool. The cutting will be different too, because now I'm going to use a method where I'm setting the lay angle, the angle of the blade to the ground, to actually very high, 30 to 40 degrees. That's very much more than we are using when we want to cut short on the ground with grasses. But the idea is that we are cutting, the swing goes forward. It's a low cutting angle also. Forward going shearing action, then a pushing towards the stem. What I mean here is if you move it this way towards the stem in a very high speed, then you will probably bend the edge, the blade and the edge. So we are going to cut a long ways this way and just a small closing to the stem. You will see the result in the following parts of this movie. The third thing, that's the swing. When we are cutting grasses, we are swinging low on the ground with the blade on the ground. Now I'm going to cut with a vertical swing closer to my feet. And I'm also going to use high force, high speed, not the slow, convenient moving when we are cutting grasses, but at very high speed, explosive high speed, because we want to build up great forces here. I'm doing this also with moving forward my hip at the same time. in the other direction, and then when I swing I'm moving the hip back and my legs back again to counteracting this force and increasing it like this. Oh. Poof. You need to have try to build up a high speed because it increases the force radically. And that's the main three things that we have to change. I try to aim at this one first, aiming and cutting. I actually cut two. It's so easy to cut these. And we will look at the cutting now. I will show you how it looks. Well, it looks quite cleanly cut, I think. You can see this. It's a clean cut, and it's not cut 90 degrees, but 30 degrees or so against the stem. That's a good cutting. And this is another stem that I will demonstrate how to cut. Sometimes it's awkward to get close to it. Okay, so this one is what I'm going to cut now. And you see, it's very easily to cut. I didn't really use much of a force here. And this is slightly thicker than the first one. I think it is a centimeter or so. This example is a birch sapling, and it's about 15 millimeters thick. And here we go. And now we have a cut like this. You can see the angle, the cut angle and the clean cut. It's very easy to cut even this one. Now this is yet another one. It's birch, as you can see from the blade. Why I'm mentioning the species is because it's quite different between the species. Aspen and birch and so on are easy to cut, while for example rowan or oak is much harder to cut. This is about 20 centimeter birch, and I think it was 21. Well, here we go. And it's cut in one slice, and you see now it's much bigger. It's actually, well, in the cut area it's actually more like 25, I think. You see the clean cut and the angle. And this one is actually 32 millimeters thick. Is it possible to cut that thick with one cut? Is it possible with a sized blade? Well, we'll see. Take a swing. No, it wasn't, but almost. I almost got through here. Get another try. Yet another. Well, it wasn't possible to cut it in one stroke. And as you can see from the cutting here, it was almost getting through at the first attempt, and then I cut it higher up. Yeah, that's about the upper limit for cutting saplings with a scythe. The conclusion we can do from this testing is that 0 to 15 millimeters saplings are easy to cut, and you can cut up to 25, but that's the upper limit, and you should use other tools to cut these wider saplings. Now I will end this video with a demonstration of how you can use this tool. And I'm going to cut my road, the side of my road, and it takes just 3 minutes to cut this down. Pollution-less, almost free of energy, because I'm using only human power, and that must be used anyway.